Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, we made it through the week together, and I know he's happy because we're looking at 80s today and tomorrow. That's when Ned thrives like a sunflower out in a field.
Or like a copperhead.
I see you more of a sunflower, my guy. Copperhead. All right, Copperhead. Well, you're going to go watch some high school football tonight?
Debatable.
Okay.
I'm not doing any game tonight. I'll wait till next week when the districts begin. But this is the final week. This is week 9 of the football season, and this is the end of the scheduled games. Wait a minute. A high school football season's 10 weeks, and that is right. Almost all the teams will play again next week, but they don't know who their opponents are going to be. That's because it's the first week of district play, and this is where the march to the state championships begin. That's next week. Why won't the individual teams know who they're going to play? Because at the end of tonight, all teams are seeded. And, of course, number 1 is seed against the lower-seeded team and so forth and so on. That's how they'll play next week, which it's designed to be, all culminating with the state championships in Columbia coming up late in November and early December. Now, what happens tonight? Well, this is, again, the scheduled games are on there, and there are some big ones and some important ones. Not all teams will play next week. That's because in conferences or districts, it's more appropriate, with uneven number of teams, the top seeds will get the night off. Is that a good thing? Well, some coaches say it is, others say no, we're out of our rhythm when that happens. But the fact of the matter remains that tonight ends the regular season, next week begins the district playoffs, and there it's one and done if you lose.
Crazy that we are already to the end of the season. This year has just flown by. I'm not complaining at all. I'm just saying I felt like we just started talking about football coming back. But, I know it's high school football, and it goes by like that every single season. All right, so let's move on to college. Missouri State Bears. Big time road trip to Cedar Falls. What can they expect from this team?
Well, I think the Bears will play very well. They've had a week off, a week to heal the bumps and bruises and reestablish their psyche. The Bears haven't won a conference game. They're 0-3. It's a 4-game losing streak, but they're 0-3 in the Missouri Valley Conference. That usually will translate at this time of the year into no playoffs. But I think there probably is a fighting chance, and the Bears have really no options at all but to win the rest of their games beginning tomorrow at the Unidome. The Unidome, seats about 16,000 up in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And for playing indoors, it's all right, but it's a house of horrors for the Bears. Missouri State did win there 2 years ago, first time in many years that they won. Northern Iowa's team is not as good as they've been. They are 3-4 overall. They're 2-2 in the conference. But the Bears are 0-3 in the conference. So it belies Missouri State to really get out and give it their whole effort, and I think they will. Coach Petrino has said, hey, this team wants to play. They want to get out there and play. They're together, and that's the key. If you play a unified game, Missouri State's pretty good. They could beat anybody. So far, they have not, but they've got to get out there, get their offensive line to working, get Shelley, the quarterback, to really connect with his receivers. And if they do, they could win this game on Saturday. But they really have to win from here on in.
Going into the Thursday night football game last night, Cardinals and Saints, I was like, man, this is going to be a dumper. Not if you like defense, man. I'll tell you right now, Cardinals came out swinging on the D.
You kind of thought they probably would, and they held New Orleans. New Orleans is not a very good football team at all. And it was a high-scoring game, 42-34. The Arizona Cardinals got a win. And Arizona, if they're able to put things together, and they do get some pretty good players back now off the injured list and off the suspended list, that's going to help them. DeAndre Hopkins getting in there will be a help. But you have to understand now, the Chiefs ran this team right out of the ballpark in the opening game. Was it 44-21 or something like that that Kansas City won? But This is where we are now at virtually midseason, and the Cardinals did get a big win. Must admit to you, didn't see a whole lot of it. Was much more interested in the baseball game between the Houston Astros and the Yankees, but that's for another story.
It's probably a good thing Joe's not around right now being sick. because if I saw him today, I'm sure he'd be a little upset that his Yankees are back 2 games after losing to the Astros last night.
They did indeed. The final was 3-2. The Astros won it. The Astros are playing some pretty good defense and getting the pitching. This is 2 one-run victories over a New York Yankees team that can hit the baseball. All right, series now goes back to New York. Off day today, but they'll resume play tomorrow at Yankee Stadium, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then back to Houston again to complete it and see who's going to be in the World Series. The Astros really have a pretty strong command right now. They've played well. They do play well. They're a good, hard-hitting baseball team. And in all honesty, Mike, they are a better team than the Yankees are at the moment. The Yankees won, I think, 99 games, and the Astros won 107. Houston's a good baseball team. They've flown under the radar all season long, but we'll see what happens now. You have to win 2 more. It's a best of 7, and the Astros are up 2-0. Now down in Philadelphia, the Phillies and the Padres resume their series tonight. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday nights and Sunday afternoon in Philly. And that series is tied at a game apiece. So there will be 3 games in Philly, depending on what happens. May go back to San Diego again. It may not. Have to see just exactly how the ball rolls. I do have to tell you, I like San Diego's situation here. They have a better, more consistent pitching staff than Philadelphia does. And from that aspect of things, pitching always wins in short series like this. Yep. So you have to give a nod to the Padres here.
You do. Well, we'll see. I know that if you do see Ned on the street today, you see him in his normal, blazer suit. He's actually got a Phillies uniform underneath that right now. So just know he's keeping warm today.
I have one.
I know you do. I've seen it. All right. So we talked about Missouri State Bears going up to Cedar Falls on Saturday. Probably not going to get a game like we did last weekend with the Tennessee-Alabama game, but what's close?
Oh, there are a few that are on the agenda that are pretty good, but nothing of the headline caliber like that one. In the Missouri Valley Conference, of course, you have the Bears playing UNI, but across the nation, the number 1 team in the country, Georgia, is idle. They're off. They have a week off to get ready for Tennessee coming in next week. Then you have Ohio State, number 2, and they are a lopsided favorite over Iowa. Iowa has pretty good defense, but they have almost a 0 offense. And Ohio State's a big favorite playing in Columbus. Number 3, now get this one. This is pretty interesting here. Number 3 is Tennessee. Tennessee is coming off that huge emotional victory over Alabama last week, 52-49. Big win for the Volunteers. So who do the Volunteers play next week? Mike, do you remember the second team on the Bears' schedule this year? It was Tennessee Martin. That's who Tennessee's playing. This is an FCS team they're going to have coming into Knoxville to play. And of course,
get that paycheck.
Oh, it'll be a huge paycheck.
Massive paycheck.
Now,
a lot of kids
going
getting
to show up there for Tennessee, and they always do. They're 103, 104,000 people. Martin is a branch. The Tennessee Martin's a branch of the University of Tennessee, but they are pretty good. They are in the FCS playoff picture right now. And you remember they gave the Bears a hell of a fight. Missouri State won at 35-30 over Tennessee Martin. But the Martin team, the Skyhawks, will not give the Volunteers any kind of fight at all. This is an altogether different level of football. That's who Tennessee plays tomorrow. It should be a very interesting game. Then you have Michigan idle, Clemson, and Syracuse, and that is a really interesting game. Syracuse is on the way back. There was a time back, 25, 30 years ago when Syracuse was a national power. They have not been recently. They are back, but they're going to South Carolina to play Clemson. That will be a tough game. That's just among the many games. We'll talk a little bit about the Chiefs, though. They're on their way out to...
Hold on. We got to talk about K-State taking on TCU.
And Saturday night game. It is on
Huge
television.
Game.
It is. It's down at Amon Carter Stadium in Fort Worth. It'll be a tough game. Kansas State is 17 in America. Texas Christian is number 8. TCU is a slight favorite in this game, but I'll tell you, I'm not going to tell you about chocolate chips and things like that, but I would not sell Kansas State short
I
of
hope
this
you're
one
right.
at all.
I hope you're right. They got a hell of a close to their season. TCU this weekend, Oklahoma State next week, and Texas the weekend after
Makes
that.
a man out of you.
You know, that's funny. Ned tells me that every single day when he's beating my ass. All right, now let's talk about the rumors overnight, and it seemed like it was going to happen. I was talking about it yesterday at Thursday Night Football, how I wish we would go for another depth position at D-back, but it looks like the Chiefs are going to sign Odell.
You knew something big was going to happen when they restructured Travis Kelce's contract. And Kelce even said, hey, I want to help. Boy, Mike, now this is Adam Schefter, who is a credible reporter, so I have to assume that there's every bit of credence about what he says. And the Chiefs apparently have signed or are about to sign Odell Beckham Jr. from the Los Angeles Rams. Is that a pretty big deal? I have to question it.
He's going to sell some jerseys, I'll tell you that.
Well, Odell Beckham, folks, was with the Rams and played in the Super Bowl for a little bit before he had a knee injury. And that knee injury has kept – first of all, he's not a kid. The knee injury has kept him out all year. He hasn't played it down since the Super Bowl. And now the Rams have put him on the market. And the Chiefs, apparently, and I'm sure we'll find something out this morning, seem to think that he can fit a receiver's role for them. The guy can probably catch the ball, run a few patterns, but I've got to tell you, this smacks of the Le'Veon Bell deal that the Chiefs made a couple of years ago with the New York Jets. And what did he ever do for the Chiefs? Nothing. He hardly even suited up. Well, Beckham Jr. has a lot of capabilities about him, but they have diminished greatly. Is he going to be the key to what they want? I think they have pretty good receiving core right now.
I do too.
I don't know why you disrupt it, but they know more than we do.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, it'll be probably mid-November to late November before we even see him on the field with the Chiefs, even if he signs today, because he's still dealing with that ACL, MCL injury. So we'll see. I'm curious. I'm a homer, so whatever. I until he gives me a reason not to trust him, I believe in Veach.
There is a deal that has been made that is official, and that's Christian McCaffrey, and he has been traded to the 49ers. Now, that whether or not he plays Sunday against the Chiefs, you have to look at it a couple ways. First of all, football is not rocket science. McCaffrey is running the ball. He has for Carolina and been great, but he's a pretty good receiver, very, very quick and hard running back. Now, what is there to handing a ball off to a guy and having, hey, see that daylight over there, run to it? Well, McCaffrey is a Stanford guy. He's certainly capable of doing that. He may play against the Chiefs on Sunday. May. And that's a very big question mark, but that deal has been made. We'll find out about Odell Beckham Jr. a little bit later on today.
Now, let's go back for Christian McCaffrey for a second, who is on my fantasy team. Should I be scared? Should I mean, it's so close to Sunday. I got to start him, right?
Well, that's just it. Before you do that, I would check to see what the depth chart is for the 49ers and see if he is on it. If he is on that depth chart, he probably won't start, but he would probably get some playing time in there. McCaffrey, guys, is a freak athlete. His dad played for the Denver Broncos, good gracious sakes, and his dad was a Stanford guy as well. Stanford guys, Mike, are an IQ point above most of the others. They're very bright. You don't just get into Stanford. It's the Harvard of the West. And McCaffrey is very quick. Gosh, I'll not forget the Rose Bowl game that Stanford played in. Oh, I guess it's been about, 6-7 years ago. I thought, well, they're going in. I remember who they played, but whoever it was pretty good, obviously. And I said, well, I can't believe Stanford's going to do that well. Oh, it's Iowa, I think they played. But whomever it was, he scored 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. And he's running wild. I think he ran for 100 yards in the first quarter.
368 yards
total
in all-purpose yards in that game.
This guy, I'll tell you what he is. He's a throwback to Ed Podolak.
He's old. Yeah, he's that old school.
He's a tough hombre, and he can still play. If he's in there Sunday, then the Chiefs will have a problem on their hands.
Well, we'll see. Run defense seems to be good. We just can't get the ball on the ground on the offensive side as far as running, at least last few weeks, which is disappointing because if we start to do that and it starts to work, then everything's going to be dangerous. But, we'll see. We've got, as we mentioned, Chiefs 49ers on Sunday. It's the 3:25 game. That means Ned Talk starts at 1.
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock is when we'll be here for the Ozarks pregame show. And we'll go from 1 to 2, and we'll discuss not just football, but we'll discuss an awful lot of things that are going on in the sports
Life
world.
Advice, how to make cocktails, baking recipes.
You know what? We haven't had that. That's a great idea.
the Ned cocktail. You take a glass, you take some ice, and you take some whiskey.
And then you drink it. Actually, you sip it is what you do. It's pretty good. Anyway, we're 1 to 2. Then the Chiefs pregame show is 2 to 3, and then the ball game itself from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. And you'll hear it all here at 104.7.
And don't forget, if you put on your radio broadcast, we've delayed it so you can actually sync it up to your TV by pausing it during the broadcast so you can listen to Mitch and Danon, and you don't have to listen to those other guys. That'll make you mad anyway. Listen to us, and have a great weekend, and go Chiefs.